Alright, I've mentioned it, I've talked about it, a lot of you have asked for it, so here it is. This is the current build that I'm using in this season. This is the Natalya / Marauders Sentry build, and it is insane. At my current Paragon level, 967, I can clear Greater Rifts 100. It's currently dominating the leaderboards. I believe the highest Greater Rift clear was 113 or 114 Greater Rift. But having said that, you need an insane Paragon level like 3000 plus to clear 113, 114 Greater Rift. At a realistic level, like realistically for most of us that have to work during the day and we can't play Diablo for like 15 hours a day, this is realistic. A Greater Rift 100 plus clear is still very impressive. So let's stop the babble for a minute. I'm going to go in and show you exactly what's involved and how it works. So let's start with the skills. We're using Evasive Fire with Focus, Cluster Arrow with Maelstrom, Companion, Wolf Companion, Vault with Tumble, Rain of Vengeance, Flying Strike, Sentry, Polar Station, Custom Engineering, Night Stalker, Ballistics, Colour of the Week for the passives, and as you probably have noticed, it is a cold damage build. So for our neck piece and our braces, if we can get plus 20 cold damage, that'll increase our damage output big time. So let's talk about the gear now. So gear, we're using Natalya's helm, chest, pants, one-handed crossbow, and the Natalya's ring. So Natalya's is quite unique. It has actually 7 set items, and it also has like a weapon and a ring. With Marauders, we're using the shoulders, the gloves, and also the boots. So you probably noticed that we're missing one item from Natalya's and also Marauders. That's because we have Ring of Royal Grandeur equipped in our Kanai's cube, so we still get the 6-piece bonus and also the 4-set bonus of Marauders. Now looking at the set item bonuses, with the Natalya set, for 2 set items, you get reduce the cooldown of Rain of Vengeance by 4 seconds when you hit with a hatred generating attack or hatred spending attack. So as we're using Evasive Fire and also Cluster Arrow, it reduces our Rain of Vengeance cooldown. Very handy. For 4 set items, Rain of Vengeance deals 100% increased damage. Damage increase, always great. For 6 pieces, after casting Rain of Vengeance, you deal 3500% increased damage and you take 60% reduced damage for 10 seconds. So this is ultra important and also the best and most powerful set bonus. When we cast Rain of Vengeance, we want to make sure that before that 10-second timer is up, we want to cast another Rain of Vengeance so we can keep that buff the entire time. And to be honest, with the 2-set bonus of reducing the cooldown of Rain of Vengeance when we hit with a Hatred Spender or Hatred Generator, we can easily keep up Rain of Vengeance every 10 seconds or sooner. Now the Marauders set bonuses. For 2 pieces, Companion calls all companions to your side. This is super important because we have Zoe's Secret equipped. And for every companion we have active, we take 8.7% less damage for each companion. So 8.7 times 5. Ultra important damage reduction buff there, and it's definitely gonna save us in a lot of situations big time. For 4 pieces, sentries deal 400% increased damage and cast Elemental Arrow, Chakram Impale Multishot, and Cluster Arrow when you do. We're using Cluster Arrow like I've mentioned, so for every sentry that's on the ground, when we're actually casting our Cluster Arrow, the sentries do as well, so it's going to be increasing our damage that much more. Each sentry is also going to shoot Cluster Arrow at the same time as us, so things are just going to blow up before our very eyes. It's going to be nice. It's going to be violent. And also important note with the items, you can mix and match depending on whether you have ancients with, you know, better stats than something else. As long as you have 3 pieces of Marauders equipped somewhere and 5 pieces of Natalya's, it doesn't really matter what you use. You can mix and match, use it based on your stats, and also, you know, if it's ancient, you want to have an ancient in there, primal ancient. You just want to mix and match and make sure that you have the best items in slot, just making sure that you have 3 Marauders and 5 Natalya's. Now looking closer at the items, Natalya's helm, ideally we would want plus dexterity, critical hit damage, and cluster arrow damage by 15%. But do the best that you can with this. Make sure that you have 15% cluster arrow damage. It's the most important for damage output. Obviously, make sure you have dexterity, and then vitality or critical hit chance is ideal. Marauder's shoulders, you want to make sure that you have dexterity. Definitely have 15% sentry damage. Most of the time, you'll have to enchant this. So just make sure that you get the other stats to the best that you can get them. And 20% damage on hit will also be handy here. Reducing resource cost is pretty important as well. So we want to keep casting cluster arrow. Cluster arrow uses up a lot of our hatred. So reducing resource cost is definitely handy here. It would be better if we had 20% area damage, but hey, you can't have everything perfect all the time. It ain't a primal, it's just an ancient. So Natalya's chest, definitely want to make sure you roll sentry damage by 15%. Then you want to have dexterity and vitality. The Marauder's gloves, definitely want critical hit chance, critical hit damage, dexterity and vitality. Natalya's ring here, ideally you want high dexterity, high critical hit damage, high critical hit chance, and definitely more important than any of the stats, you want a socket. So I've got the socket there for Zay Stone of Vengeance. Now I'm just trying to get an ancient or a primal ancient Natalya's ring, but I haven't had the luck. With Natalya's legs, we definitely want dexterity and vitality. There aren't any other stats we can really work towards here. Regenerating life is just a bit of, handy survivability. And I've also changed my secondary there to life after kill. So when we kill enemies, we gain life each time we kill them. So just a little bit of survivability there, because there's as far as damage goes, there's nothing we can use on the legs to optimize our damage. Marauder's boots, we definitely would want, ideally, dexterity, vitality, and high resistance to all elements. And most importantly, you want to make sure you enchant, or if you're lucky enough to roll it, cluster arrow damage by 15%. Definitely want to have that 15% damage. You definitely want to make sure you enchant the 15% extra damage for all of the items that I've mentioned so far. Natalya's Slayer, unfortunately, isn't a primal, it's just an ancient. You would definitely want primary stat dexterity, 10% damage. The Reign of Vengeance legendary stat always comes out as is. The other one that you can see that I have there is increased damage against elites by 6%. That can go up to 8%. Now, just bear in mind that enchanting for damage against elites is actually very difficult. It's a very rare stat. It took me probably over a day just to get that to show up. It's very, very difficult. So just be pre-warned that it is ultra rare. It's like a 0.1% chance, or maybe even 0.01 or something ridiculous. It's rare. However, it's probably worth it if you have the materials to waste for it. If you're super lucky and you get it on your first few rolls, just know that it's ultra rare, and it can take people days just to get damage against elites to show up. However, all weapons do have the ability to roll the damage against elites stat. So just be aware that that can take a while to obtain. You can go with something else in the meantime, like vitality or anything else that you might be missing. That covers off our set items. I'm going through everything pretty detailed here, in depth, because I want you all to know exactly how this is done. We're using the Traveler's Pledge with the Compass Rose here. Nice little set. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, when you're moving, you reduce damage that you take by up to 50%. When you're standing still, damage dealt is increased by up to 100%. A lot of the time we will be standing still, except when we're avoiding damage and we're just going to be casting Cluster Arrow. And with the neck piece, with the Traveler's Pledge, you want to definitely get cold skills up to 20%, but having said that, you want to make sure that you've also got a gem slot. It's probably the most important. Gem slot first, cold skills second, primary stat, and then critical hit damage is definitely nice. With the ring, dexterity, vitality, and critical hit chance would be nice. Mine rolled with attack speed, and I had to enchant the gem slot. Just make sure number one priority is the gem slot. Nothing is worth sacrificing the gem slot. Gem slot first, then worry about those other stats. The braces, Wraps of Clarity. So when we cast Evasive Fire, our damage taken is reduced by 43% for 5 seconds. So we have to keep in mind, every 5 seconds, just shoot your Evasive Fire, and that gives us that 43% damage reduction buff. Ultra handy. And again, with the braces, we want to have cold skills damage by 20% increase. Big buff to our damage. Other than that, we want to have dexterity, critical hit chance, vitality, pretty much in that order. Wraps of Clarity are quite common, so you shouldn't have any trouble finding a decent set of these. The belt, super important, Zoe's Secret. When you have this belt equipped, you take 8.7% less damage for every companion you have active. Now, with our 4-piece Marauders bonuses, we're going to have every companion out, so we're going to reduce our damage 8.7% times 5. So huge damage reduction there, and it definitely works very nicely as we're using Cluster Arrow and our sentries to blow stuff up. And finally, Bombardier's Rucksack. When you have this, you can have 2 additional sentries active, so this is quite huge, especially when you're pushing higher, greater rifts. With this, it's definitely ideal to have a primal that goes for, you know, every item. However, if you don't, definitely try and have dexterity, vitality, attack speed, critical hit chance, and then sentry damage is always going to be there. 100% is definitely nice. And again, you can notice that I've actually enchanted damage against elites by 8%. This took hours to get. Now, very importantly, the gems we want to be using, we want to use a topaz gem in our helm slot. This reduces our resource costs by 12.5%. Super handy for Cluster Arrow, as that uses up a lot of hatred. Now, you can start off by having emerald gems in these other slots for your chest and for your pants. However, when you're pushing higher, greater rifts, survivability is definitely key, and you want to whack in diamond gems. I definitely recommend diamond gems. We've got plenty of other ways to get damage and boost that up, but having super uber damage isn't going to really be helpful if we're dying all the time, so definitely recommend diamond gems in there. However, at lower levels you can put in emeralds, that's fine. Our legendary gems that we're using, Enforcer, once that bonus from Reign of Vengeance is up, our pets do a hell of a lot of damage. Definitely worth having Enforcer in there. Bane of the Trap, super handy. There's many ways that we're going to be slowing our enemies down and freezing them with this cold build. And Zay's Stone of Vengeance, obviously the further away that we are, we increase our damage. So you want to try and make sure that you're away from all of the mobs that you're doing damage on. If there's any that are really close to you, just vault on out of there, try and keep your distance. And it shouldn't be a problem because of all the cold damage that we're doing. We're going to be slowing them down, freezing them a lot. Now, Kanai's Cube, super important as always. In the weapon slot, we've got Manticore. It increases our damage of Cluster Arrow and also reduces the hatred costs, so it lets us spam it that much more. In the armor, we have Frostburn, so cold skills increase damage by 20% and also have a 50% chance to freeze enemies. So super important, we're going to be freezing enemies, which will trigger Bane of the Trap that much more, and we're going to be doing extra damage. It's going to stack up nicely. And like I mentioned in jewelry, Ring of Royal Grandeur, because we've only got 5 pieces of Natalyas and 3 pieces of Marauders, so we can get the 6-piece and the 4-piece bonuses of these sets. Pretty nifty, intelligent build, isn't it? I think we're really taking advantage of 2 awesome sets as it is, and really just taking it to the next level. And that covers off pretty much everything. I'm happy with that. It is pretty detailed. I've been using this build all season, so I just wanted to go through everything quite thoroughly. I'm sorry if it was lengthy, and I'm definitely grateful if you've sat here all this time and watched me this long. It's time for some quick gameplay. I'll show you what this build is made out of, and in the future I might do like a Greater Rift 100 plus clear and just do a gameplay video. They are pretty lengthy, so I don't really want to do one right now for you all. I might do that separately in the future. This is just a build video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a go. I'm really happy with this build. I think it's super overpowered. You can also experiment with fire damage as well as cold damage. It's very, very overpowered as well. However, I like cold damage. I like slowing down enemies and just being able to stay at a distance and do extra damage with Zay's Stone of Vengeance. Either way, let's do some gameplay and show you what this is made out of, and then give it a go yourselves. Okay, we'll do a quick Nephilim run, and I won't even activate that pylon just to show you guys and girls what the build is made out of. You know, no cheating. And that elite just got melted down like nothing. That's how powerful this Demon Hunter build is. Look at these elites. Just gone. They just came and went. In and out like the wind. Dead. There's more elites down here. Perfect. Nice little example. Another pack of elites. They don't run into me and die. I'm really impressed with this Natalya / Marauder build. Almost didn't want to share it with anyone. No, I always share everything. There's no secrets here at Bannock 13. You come here and I will tell you everything and how to do it to the best of your ability. I don't hide anything. I will share anything. If I get like a rank 1 challenge rift ranking on the leaderboards, I'll be recording it and I'll do a video and I'll upload it. I'm not going to hide that crap. I'm here because of you all, you know. I'm here to help. I'm here for you all. Ain't no secrets here at Bannock 13. Now, worth mentioning, if you are higher Paragon level and you're easily doing like what I'm doing, like there's no chance you're gonna die, like you're melting down elites, you can swap out the Night Stalker passive for tactical advantage. So every time you vault, like I am now, you gain movement speed, so you can move through a lot quicker through these Nephilim rifts because there's no risk of dying. So definitely take note of that. So I'm skipping through some gameplay here because, you know, we have lives to live. I don't want to bore you all. I'm just here to give you the critical information that you need. It was probably a little bit more detailed than what I usually do in build videos, but this one's important. I wanted to really address all of the important little things, particularly when it comes to enchanting, your gems. Like, I just wanted to go through it all and really explain it thoroughly. If you're not sure about anything, or if I didn't go through something, like it was accidental, I promise. Like, I wanted to really give you all a detailed description of the build. If I forgot anything, just hit me up in the comments, you know. No need to hate on your uncle Bannock 13 and say, oh, you didn't go through this. Just ask me and I will tell you, no problem at all. I figured that I've gone through everything that's super important anyway, so yeah, just give it a go, and if you're not sure about something, hit me up and I will help you for sure. Here's the Rift Guardian. It's just like no challenge at all, you know. Torment 13 we're playing on, if you haven't noticed, boys and girls. Torment 13, highest difficulty, and that was a Nephilim Rift. Super easy, super overpowered this build. I'm ultra happy with it. I love pushing greater rifts with it at the moment. Like I said, I've cleared a greater rift 100. I'm not even 1000 Paragon, so that tells me pretty awesome build, pretty overpowered. I love that pet. If you want to support your creepy Uncle Bannock 13, subscribe button is coming up, and there are many, many more videos in the works right now. We're going to be talking movies. We're going to be talking Thor Ragnarok, which I watched last night. We're going to be talking Star Wars The Last Jedi, which I watched twice now. I really want to discuss that, but there's so much to digest in that movie. And in the meantime, as always, Diablo 3 is my main focus. If you refuse to subscribe, I don't hate you. I still love you. Just make sure that you come back and visit.